So the first thing, as far as in gaming fandom, I guess you could say, because this definitely ain't news. It feels like I've been ranting this whole time, but I really gotta. So Last of Us Remake ain't even a damn remake. It's a remaster, HD remaster technically. So I never played the game, but I watched it with Power Trick. He played the game, and there were some things that irked my nerves about it. So the first thing is, in fashion, built from the ground up. That's BS. The game, when it was in its first inception, is built from the ground up. You went back and retexturized everything. You HD remastered it. It's not a remake. You know what a remake is? Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VII Remake. A remake is when you change a game. You change the game. Storyline, but there's going to be aspects that change. Whether it's, like they did third person, action adventure style, kind of like how they did Final Fantasy 15. That's what remake is. It's a completely different game that tells the same story, but with Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's like, but wait, there's more. There's two other games. It literally takes the original story and then goes off in another isekai adventure with it. It's completely different game, completely different UI and everything.
I'm gonna say another thing about you said about remake. Here's the funny thing is, another remake's coming out next year, and it's the one that fans will be kind of waiting for. Resident Evil 4.
I don't even want to talk about Capcom with its remakes, but
at least this one is more legitimate than.
It just depends on how many times they did it. So, but with Last of Us, right? Not only do you tell a bold-faced lie, and this game came out. Last of Us came out on what? PS4, right?
It came out on I think PS3.
PS3, but didn't they come out with a PS4 version?
Yeah, a remaster of it.
And now you come out with it again for console. This is a cash grab. On top of that, $70 price tag. You are literally robbing your consumers, your fans, for just a re-release of a game that has nothing to it. Wait. I'm sorry. There is something different. You said they took something out.
They took out online multiplayer.
So you get a bare bone game that is single player. So you're not even getting all the features, but you're paying $10 more. And they already technically have an HD release. Like what? Is it going from 1080p to 4K? And so what? It's still an HD release. Now, I'm not going to rant about it too hard. I'm just going to rant about the things that's more like neutral or universal or common sense, which is this game isn't built from the ground up. It's textured. You literally are just adding pixels to stuff. That game should technically be no more than maybe $40 at most. Like, that don't make no sense. Then on top of that, the $70 price tag, that is highway robbery to say that you're taking out an online feature when you know, Sony, that the world is literally going online almost everything. I might still like my offline stuff, but I play fighting games. But
well, it's not Sony, it's Naughty Dog.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, well, it's coming out on next gen systems though, and it's going to be an offline experience. So they still don't get the online experience. Granted, it is the dev's fault, but there's nobody that had any pushback on that. Like, but regardless, those are the two biggest gripes I have. Is that you already have an HD remaster. This is not a remake, unless there are some things that you find out in the coming weeks or months before the game releases, and there's either new or extra content that has never been before seen in the game that extends the gameplay longer, side quests, extra story and everything else. But you can't do that because this is part 1. You still have part 2, which technically is the continuation. If anything, if this was $70 with part 1 and part 2, I would understand. But anyways, again, guys.
But I'm gonna just say one last thing, and I hope, and I said this on the last episode, and I'm gonna just say it again. Apparently, I heard that they say The Last of Us remake has already gone gold. That's number 1. Number 2, Gene Invasion. I told you this so many times, time and time again. We both agree Elden Ring's gonna be Game of the Year.
It has to be. If it doesn't,
and it has to be game. But I tell you, the games that are worthy enough to win have now been either delayed or may not come out ever. One of them is Mass Effect 4, and you know dang well it ain't coming out this year, or maybe the year after, maybe 2024 for Pete's sakes for Mass Effect 4.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2. I had said Overwatch 2, but then when people complaining about the online play,
Overwatch 2 is not in the running. That game shouldn't even be a runner-up for best multiplayer or PvP or nothing.
That's another one. Legend of Zelda has been delayed to next year. That's out. Bayonetta 3, it was Bayonetta 2 was a nominee, but I'm just like, would it be a nominee? I would give it that, but would it win?
Different category, not Game of the Year, maybe action adventure game.
No, but like if it was nominated for Game of the Year and it
Question:
wasn't.
Has a Devil May Cry 5? Has a Devil May Cry ever been in the Game of the Year? Because if a Devil May Cry hasn't,
only 3.
Only part 3.
Yeah, only part 3.
Okay, so and that's 3 is technically the best one. So even till this day, I know 5 is good, but you can't. But that's Dante's storyline. I mean, technically, you talk about 5, that's Nero's. But if Devil May Cry, with all its iterations, has only made Game of the Year nominee once, Bayonetta is literally a waifu clone, though. A gender swap. And unless Tits and Ass is going to give it a win for a nomination, it's not going to Game of the Year. It can easily go into action adventure, action platform adventure, action RPG adventure, however you want it. It's an action adventure game. It can easily probably contest in one of those, but technically you have a game that's supposed to be coming out later on this year that technically contests with that, which is Dad of War.
Dad of War as well.
So,
and another game I would say, Xenoblade 3. There's no JRPG that's ever been a nominee. I don't think I never heard a JRPG that.
Yeah, and like, Valkyrie Elysium comes out later on this year, which for me is a great game, and it's technically a remake with the way they did the UI, but I'm like, it's a JRPG.
Would it be a great game? Yeah.
Well, Remake is a JRPG technically. 7.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so yeah.
And if I'm correct,
it was a nominee.
Final Fantasy 15, if I'm correct, was as well.
Yeah,
because that was a big game.
Yeah, it was.
But
do I see Xenoblade in it? I was like, would it be a great game? I'm like, I hope so. But
maybe if Nintendo has their own, award show, then maybe that would be in there. But then who's to say that might not get? Who's to say that? No, they're not in the same category. But who's to say Xenoblade doesn't get beat out by Octopath Traveler?
That was out years ago.
I'm sorry. The new one's a gacha game.
Yeah, the new one's a gacha. But I'm just like, yeah. And like I said, Dad of War is this year. Mass Effect 4, long away. Legend of Zelda, delayed. Spider-Man,
so let's get to the nitty gritty.
But I'ma just say one last thing.
No, it's what you said before that we both agreed on. I just want to make this, and I'll let you say it. Last of Us Part 1 remake should not make Game of the Year when it's just the same damn game. It is literally the same game. You cannot have a game that is literally the same try to be a nominee or win again. Game of the Year is supposed to be for new games, fresh starts, and they were cut above the rest. Last of Us Part 1, we know, is a great game. It made all its awards when it first came out. It should not be coming back out to be Game of the Year. The only game that should be in the highest regards right now is Elden Ring, because that game is still being played till this day. Still, the replayability on that game is bananas for a new game. Now, later on this year, if that award comes out, and of course, story taking into account everything else, because granted, Elden Ring can get beat out in certain categories.
Yeah, it can.
Story can. It just depends on how far they delve into the story building with it. Because Elden Ring got 3 endings.
Yeah, it did.
It has side bosses. They got weapons galore and all this other stuff, but it's just a very large map. God of War might be a different story though.
Yeah, it could be, but I'm gonna just say one last thing before we get to the next topic. If this game ends up winning Game of the Year, it will be the biggest. No, it will be a crime of the millennium.
I'm gonna stop watching award shows if that happens.
Not century, millennium. It will be a crime.
This would be a bigger crime than Crunchyroll Awards.
10 times worse. And I'm still flat out say it did not deserve to win 2020 Game Awards, because I said Hades and Ghost got robbed.
Wait, Ghost of
Tsushima.
That game got robbed.
And
Hades, I've never seen. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm gonna give Hades and the devs their props, because no rogue game or roguelike game has ever made it that high.
And it was, and like I said, me and Soul, it was damn good. Even Hoovy, he gave it to Ghost. I gave it to Hades. Steve said he would have been fine either way. You gave it to Ghost. I still gave it to Hades. Soul gave it to Hades, and we was like, okay. And I said, if Hades does not win,
shout outs to Hovey and Steven though, the Overrated podcast.
Yep. And I said this: if Hades does not win, but Ghost take it, I'm fine with that. Yeah. And Hoovy said if Hades wins it and not Ghost, he's fine with that. But the fact that it was The Last of Us 2 and every other gaming website from IGN, GameSpot, list goes on, have either given it to Hades or Ghost, BS. And if they put The Last of Us,
I mean, I've heard people say like, them people got paid off. That like there was some favorability and everything in there. There was some biasness. I don't know. I just hope that they don't try to scam people. Like, this kind of makes me wonder if the voting is rigged type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like